All right, guys, welcome back to Just Driven. We're here early today with an update a lot of you guys have been waiting for, and that is on our Too Fast, Too Furious Skyline. Adrian has been working diligently on perfecting all the little details that make this car unique. Stick around, this will be a fun video for you guys. Let's start with one of the coolest features. Most people don't know this, but that pop-up screen wasn't actually shown in Too Fast, Too Furious. It came from Craig Lieberman's original Skyline, the one that inspired the studio cars. When Universal hired Craig back as technical advisor for the second film, they loved his Skyline so much they decided to replicate it, keeping the C West body kit, using similar wheels to what Craig had on it when he bought it from Motorex, and of course painting it. Craig's personal car actually had a monitor installed in place of the passenger side airbag. The studio cars, however, never had an actual functional pop-up monitor. It was literally just boxed and set on top of the dash. It's, let's just say, not the cleanest execution. We wanted to change that, so we decided to build our own version of fully functional, electrically actuated pop-up monitor. It rises smoothly with a switch and locks in place and looks factory. This is how it should have been done. Okay guys, so what's really cool about this little added feature is having it electronically actuated so you can move it up and down. It's going to be a fully functioning monitor, and it's going to match the same display that the actual stereo head unit displays.
The car stereo display that is supposed to be a pop-out monitor also, whether it's from Clarion or whatever we can get our hands on that actually works. That one will match the airbag motorized monitor. The MFD will just be cycling like your standard GTR MFD things, whether it's the boost gauge or all the sensor readings or whatever we want, really.
Yeah, so how are we going to do that?
It's our choice. That's going to be a third-party monitor, not a true original MFD screen, because we're not going to have any of the ancillary buttons or anything. We could set it up so that it runs off of an SD card, or it can be downloaded and fed video, so you could see, it can mimic essentially like the role play of a GTR MFD. So that's what our plan is for that, because we have 5 60mm gauges around plus the dash cluster. We don't need all that and then an MFD that shows another set of sensors, because then we're doubling up on sensors and wiring, and we were gonna do that, but it was just so much wiring and unnecessary double view of the same things. Here we have oil pressure and boost on the pillar pod. On the dash pod, it's supposed to be oil temp, water temp, and fuel pressure.
So we'll just vary that.
The stock tripod, I think, was boost, oil temp, and oil pressure.
Okay.
On the stock tripod. I'll double check, we have it still, but.
So that's the idea, you guys. We're gonna actually make these 3 gauges that sit on this custom-made pod that Adrian's designing actually be functional and serve a purpose other than just for movie purposes, showing the depletion of all the nitrous in those tanks.
Yeah, that's what we wanted. We didn't want to do fake gauges or just dummy gauges. Everything is actually connected to the sensor that's corresponding to the gauge.
Got it.
So otherwise it would just be a bunch of dummy stuff.
So guys, every day the Skyline looks more and more like it just rolled off the Too Fast, Too Furious set. Adrian's craftsmanship, Alex's mechanical work, and the amount of detail going into this is absolutely unreal. Subscribe and drop a comment telling us what movie car you want to see us restore next.
So if you guys don't remember, we had to put a forward-facing intake manifold. With doing that, we lose the ability to run the stock clutch fan, because this new intake manifold runs a series of water lines underneath it independently from the intake manifold, so there's no longer a water neck coming directly off the intake manifold to run the hose like OEM. So because it has this quadruple pod of coolant hoses going to each intake manifold hole now, we have to resort to a E-fan and shroud setup. So this is still our coil radiator. I picked up a 190-degree thermo switch to actuate and trigger the relays to then have these fans be turned on. These are Spall 12-inch fans. I actually resorted to finding a local source for our fan shrouds. We actually use them for a lot of our domestic car radiators that run the big dual derail fans. It's Champion Radiator or Leadfoot Racing out here in Orange. He said, hey, if you're gonna take the radiator out anyway, go ahead and bring it by. We can match it up to the shrouds that I have and see what's gonna work best for you guys. This fan shroud is probably as close to perfect as we could get. It fit very close to the core size, and it actually meets edge to edge of the mounting tabs. So there's very little modification needed to do so that this fan shroud fits and works the way we need it to. We did have to chop off the tabs on the radiator that hold the factory fan shroud because those are no longer used, and it would actually make this sit far too high. So with those chopped off and then this trimmed a little bit, it actually gets us the positioning that we need for these two 12-inch fans. Now these two 12-inch fans pull about 1300 CFM each. I know stock clutch fans with an upgraded blade will pull upwards of around 3500, but being that this is mainly going to be a street car, this has the two E-fans on this side. We also have another E-fan pushing against the AC condenser, so I don't suspect us having any issues as this solely being a street car. All right, so if you guys don't remember, we put CTSV brakes on this car, and originally the calipers that I got, I actually bought used on OfferUp, but by the time we finished modifying them, painting them, and going through the whole exercise of getting them to fit, we found out that the bleeder screws were all seized on both front calipers. We tried to apply some heat and see if they would come out safely, and it kept fighting us. We knew we were gonna snap one, and we did. So thank God for Rock Auto. And they actually sell remanufactured calipers that already come in red. That helped a lot because that was essentially our base coat to then match our rear calipers to be the same red again. Clear coat, get ready for new stickers, modify the caliper. And with all these things, you always void the warranty because for this 6-piston CTSV style caliper to fit on this R34 with 370Z track Brembo packaged rotors, you need to modify the hell out of that caliper. Once you do that, the warranty's gone on these as well. After we painted it, let it dry and cure, and then we're like, okay, cool, we're gonna get the stickers made, get those put on. And one day I come out here and there's a puddle of brake fluid sitting on the inner barrel, and I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? And so we're looking at the caliper, and out of this bleeder screw, you just start to see a trail of fluid start running down the caliper, and here you see like a bubble forming, and I start like pushing it, I'm like, oh shit, that is like filled with fluid. And so we're like, dude, what the hell are we gonna do now? Like, what's going on? We were worried that the bleeders, the ones that were provided to us by the remanufactured company, had cracked the caliper at the threads. And we're like, what do we do? I went through the Willwood brake catalog because we do a lot of Willwood brakes on a lot of other cars. They have a two-part type brake bleeder screw. So it is conical and inset like an OEM brake bleeder on the inside, but you leave that one, you set it and forget it, and then you have a smaller type bleeder that's separate. That is the one that you actually unscrew to go ahead and bleed the brakes. They had a metric setup. It says it only works for Willwood calipers, and that is false. It actually works for these, and we no longer have a brake fluid leak. So the caliper is now been sanded down, scuffed, to be prepped for new paint. But for right now, we're gonna leave it as ugly as it is because we need to get this car fired up, put it through its paces. We still need to seat the pads and go through all that. Once all that's said and done, the car is back from the dyno and it's good to go. Cool. It's just one aspect of the project that we had to redo, which is repainting these, clear coat, let them cure, and put the decals back on it. But we know that when we do that, we're not gonna have any seepage of fluid because the brakes will already be seated and they will already be bled for the last and final time. Thank you to Willwood for getting these to us in literally a day. That's not a shameless plug because we pay for all these parts. None of this stuff has been free. So it's all trial and error. We go through finding the parts like I did through OfferUp. Ends up being a bad part. You have to deal with it. Go on to the next source, figure it out, and make it work. So that's what we're doing with this setup. All right, so the factory steering wheel in the Skyline GTT isn't that good looking. So the stock GTR steering wheels, they have upgraded options, but Craig's car never ran the upgraded GTR steering wheel. It ran this Sparkle style flat bottom steering wheel. I was able to acquire a hub and also the extra button adapter so we can go ahead and get this fitted into the car. So let's throw it in there and get it looking right. right, thank you guys for tuning in, and if you haven't already, head on over to justdriven.com, get one of our new t-shirts to support us, and continue supporting us by dropping a comment down below, and we'll see you on the next one.